Hey, welcome to our next training. Thought this time we might look at one of the big mistakes that the church seems to make and how we might do things differently. What's that mistake, I hear you asking? Well, I think one of the real things we do is we decide, I'm going to reach this group of people. We're going to reach out to young people. And therefore, we're going to start this program at this time. And we do what we think is best. And then we wonder why people don't come. We've just done what we want to do, as opposed to finding out what they want and what time works for them. So this is the challenge for us. How do we actually listen to the community around us and find out what's needed, not just going with what we know? Because often what we know is models that worked in the past that perhaps are no longer relevant for today's people. We think of, if we could only start a Sunday school again, but is that really the best method? Things like that. Brian Mitchell, in his chapter in the book, An Emergent Manifesto of Hope, says this: as each community struggles to resolve economic and priest shortages, people assume that the community cannot jettison existing models of church. The community must somehow retrofit new realities to these old structures. But what if the discussion began with the needs of the community and moved to how churches should be structured to best meet those needs? Frequently, the missional purpose in the church gets lost in the practical questions that grow from an assumption that the church must be as it is. So we have that challenge of, well, this is what church looks like. And so how do we get people from there into this church? Several other authors look at this. Ian Robinson, talks about, we just need to, do we just need to change our worship a little bit and just invite them in? They should know worship is good. Is the preaching the problem? Do we need to change the preacher or something? The problem is we're using our solutions, our structures, and trying to push people into it. Well, perhaps where we need to start is, what are the needs of our community? It's one of the things I've talked about a bit lately as I've gone around churches. How do we listen to those people that we're connecting with? How do we listen to what the community is asking for or needing, as opposed to assuming that we know what the community needs? We're sharing that at a meeting of the Cessnock Mission Hub a couple of weeks ago, and that was what stood out to someone, that need for us to communicate and to listen to our community. So how do we do that? Well, step one, I think, is to ask, who are we already connecting with? If we want to reach young people, who are the young people that we already have connections with? And if you have connections with no young people, is this the way to go? Or is there some indirect connection? So it might be, we have connections with these grandparents. How do we get them to connect their grandchildren into the church? That's some of the thinking of some of what we've done at Morisset. As they were coming out of the Growing Young material and looking at where do they head, we were talking. And Nancy had vaguely mentioned a grand day out, a day for grandparents and grandkids. And then they talked about, they were holding a seniors expo in October. And so it became clear, if this is the group you're connecting with, if you're connecting with these seniors, then why not promote with them a day for them to bring along their grandkids? Go from who you're working with to what's the next step. And so step one, work out who you're already connecting with. Are there some young people connected with your church? Do you have a toy library? Was one of the questions with tea gardens. Some connections with toy library. Do you have connections with some of the local schools? How might you build on those connections? What are the connections that are already there? Sometimes it's our car park is used by parents picking up their kids from the local school. Can you build on that? So where is the connection points that you already have? If you start with, we want to reach young people, we know young people, let's just start a program, you'll probably get nowhere. Where are you building from? So who are you connecting with? And the next step is to ask, what might be the next step for that group? We have a toy library. What's the next step of connection? So to Tea Gardens, I said, well, toy library meets once a month on a Saturday. Maybe on those months where you have Father's Day or Mother's Day, be there as church people with a craft that the kids can do for their parent. And that way build another connection point. And then think about, they're also looking at how might they connect with the school. If you want to connect with the school, go and ask them how you can help. Don't go along and say, we can do this for you. But go in and say, how can we as a church help you? Take the morning tea, take the teacher's morning tea, and just say, we're the church down the road. If there's anything we can do to help, let us know. We'd love to support you as a school. Go in offering, not this is the way we're coming to do this program so that we can get your kids. Come in and open doors. And when doors start to open, then opportunities will arise. But don't necessarily come in with the mindset of, we want to connect with you, here's the program. What do you need? Same with lots of different places around. Asking, what do we need? So who are you connecting with? What is the next step in their journey? And as we think about that next step and the steps that might take place, we need to realize that coming to church on Sunday morning may never be a step for these people. Or coming to your Sunday morning service may never be a step for these people. What you do on Sunday morning may not connect with them. And we need to understand that from the start. So some churches start things like Messy Church, and they go, we'll start Messy Church, and then these people will come to our service on Sunday morning. No, they won't. I was talking to someone recently and was saying, yes, it's that sense of, we don't do that. And they were saying, yes, their church was talking about it. And they were sort of, but maybe ours will be the different one where they'll actually want to come to church. Very unlikely. Partly because Messy Church usually happens once a month. Families, if we're honest, most families come to church about once a month. So if we do Messy Church really well, that is their church, that is their congregation. And that's all they've got time for. Maybe long way down the track, something more might grow, but at least for the very long future, foreseeable future, that will be their church, and that is all right. So as we think about where they're headed, is there some sort of worship gathering that we need to start to think about that may not be what Sunday morning looks like? Or do we need to think about it might look like what we do Sunday morning, but it's not on Sunday morning? Might have mentioned this before. I was talking with some people from Warners Bay Church, and one of them was saying, it's just so difficult because you got sport on Sunday morning, so how can they go to church? And I said, well, maybe church needs to change. Maybe we need to break down the structures and go, okay, our church will now meet on Wednesday evening, Friday evening, Saturday lunchtime. Who knows? Work out. That's part of what Bulwarra's process is and Maitland's, because it's all Maitland now, isn't it? Maitland's process is at the moment in reflecting on Messy Church. Let's put out a poll to those parents that we're connecting with through Messy Church, through the various playgroups, and find out what time works for them. And then let's see if we can put it on then. Because that's going to work more efficiently than us putting it on the time that works for us and that we think is right. So, who are you already connecting with? What is the next step, and what might be the steps? Where might we be leading them to? If you're thinking through those processes, things will go well. And along that time, keep asking, what do they want? Back when I was in Belmont, a number of times, as we were heading towards the end of term with youth group, We put out some paper and say, write down ideas of things that you would like to do as the youth group. And so then we would get those and go through and go, well, as we plan next term, here are the ideas that they have. That will work, that will work. No, we can't do that. I think one of them once wrote down an M&M night, which was matches and something. Matches and metho. It's like, no, we're not doing that. But what are their ideas? Do you want to go bowling? Great, we'll go bowling. So find them. Part of the Safe Church training in Queensland encourages churches to be talking with young people as they're doing programs and planning programs. What do the young people need? What we all need to do. We need to be asking the young people, the families, what do you need? What do you want us to be doing? And as we do that, we'll become much more successful because people will prioritize that because, well, that's what I want, as opposed to us putting on the program that we want. So let me encourage you, be thinking about who you're connecting with and how can you talk to them more and find out what they're looking for from the church and see how you can do those things as opposed to just trying to do the same old things which may not work anymore. Some ideas for you to think about. Hopefully they're helpful. If you've got ideas you'd like me to talk about, please email me, ring me, let me know. I'll see you around. Bye.